All right. I was in a chat the other night and I was asked the question, what is MGTOW? It came up because there was a recording being played of a white YouTuber in the sector who had a lot of foul things to say about black people and was using certain stereotypes and epithets to describe us. And, of course, I wasn't really surprised to find out it was a white person and to find out how he felt. But throughout the discussion, the way he talked about women made it seem like this guy was most likely MGTOW. For those of you who don't know what that means, MGTOW, when you see those letters together, means men going their own way. Now, this is only a preview because there were two people in Tracy's chat last night that asked me about it and asked me to make a video on it. So by request, I'll go ahead and speak on it tonight. The video will be live about 9 o'clock tonight, maybe a little after 9. And I invite any of my male counterparts out there that either want to call in or take part in the show to hit me up on my Gmail account, which is therealslyjones@gmail.com, to give their input, because there's two things I really wanted to discuss. I can't do it on one video because that'll be kind of confusing and I didn't want to mess people up. But the first video I was going to do is give a breakdown about men going their own way, talk about the red pill philosophy. The second thing I wanted to talk about on a separate video is, do black women know how to love the modern day black man? I hear from a lot of young guys, young black men, tell me about how hard it is to date. And I had a conversation with one 20-year-old man. Let me set it up for you. College, kids in college, still living at home though. Loves anime, loves video games because that's what he grew up with, right? His words, not mine. Almost every black girl I dated liked bad boys or like guys that weren't about shit. So now he just happens to be dating a Caucasian woman, and he is absolutely having the time of his life. So I want to be happy for the young man that he's happy, of course, glowing even, just spending time with this person that appreciates the things that he appreciates, that he can talk about the things he likes and not be looked at like he's from Mars by his own sisters. Now, this is a guy who comes from a stable family, has a mother and father at home, and has an older sister. Melanated people. Nobody forced him to not talk to black women or whatever. Like I say, he shot his shot several times and just found out that he couldn't be himself without having to be thuggish or hard or putting up a front or being hyper masculine, or like he's not going to overcompensate. He's just going to be himself. That's all he knows how to be. But in the last conversation we had about black men dating white women, oh, she's a trophy. She's a freak. She'll do anything. But when the black woman does it, oh no, she does it out of love. He's not a trophy to her. She really loves that man, because it's different for men and women. Like I say, I listen to that on other people's platform, but I'm here to set that shit straight too. But I can't do it all in one video. So like I say, that video is going to come because black men have changed over the years. And when I ask a sister a certain question, Sometimes I get blank stares. Sometimes I get a jaw drop. When I ask the question, what do you bring to the table in a relationship? That seems like that's almost offensive to ask. Basically, in this sector, anything that would be slightly offensive to black women is not supposed to ever be said or repeated for fear of having to get read or roasted or whatever, called names for the ones that have a thin skin. But I'm here to tell you, this is how I roll. You know, I challenge queens. I piss off peasants. I'm going to say it again. I feel like I can challenge my queens on a higher plane, on a higher intellectual level than just the same old mundane conversations. Cuba Gooding Jr. dated a white woman, or this NFL player dated a white woman. They want a trophy wife. They look down on black women. They blah, blah, blah. Like I said, I look at it from a whole different perspective that some people just aren't ready for. And whether I play devil's advocate or I'm speaking my heart, unless I say something that's directly offensive to you, you shouldn't be offended. Case in point, I had a conversation, I believe it was either via comments or Instagram, with Stiggsgirl. And I hope she's listening. For Stiggs listened to my Cat Williams video, and in reference to Wanda Smith, who I never really cared for anyway, I haven't made any secret about that. I don't hate her, but I didn't like her as a personality on the radio. And she was known for running off really good comedic talent. Anyway, just give you some background. Wanda was the DJ at V103 that her and Cat Williams got into a roast session, and Cat Williams pretty much lit her up. They go to the comedy club that weekend, and her husband and her, Wanda Smith, and her husband are waiting outside for Cat. Well, Wanda Smith's husband allegedly has a gun and chases Cat into the nearest Kroger. If you've ever been up there to the Atlanta Comedy Club, it's right there in like a shopping center right next to a grocery store. So, of course, there were no charges filed or anything like that. But about 3 or 4 months later, Wanda Smith lost her job there at the radio station, and they replaced her with 2 other people. I made the comment about Wanda. I called her a sister girl. I said that she wears the same wigs, same outfits, goes to the same churches, talks all the same shit, that there are cookie cutter clones out there just like her. In the South, I said Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, all the way over to Texas, you have this certain raised in the Baptist church, certain type of attitude, certain type of dress, certain level of learned behavior, which this is all what it goes back to. And I'm going to explain that in a minute. But every woman is different. And I give credit for any woman, each and every woman, for her talents, for, what she has to offer to the world. When I make a general assumption about somebody, it's usually the same general assumption you have. If I mention, I gave Stiggs the example, Pookie and Ray Ray. I said Pookie and Ray Ray are the guys who smoke weed all day, don't have a job, living under some woman, whether it be his mom or his girlfriend. Doesn't contribute anything to the home, doesn't take care of his kids, but always has weed and always is around his bros. It just so happens Pookie and Ray Ray will have 3 or 4 women hanging off of him. Where the guy that actually has a car, has a home, catches hell just trying to date. But when I'm talking about Pookie and Ray Ray, when I'm talking about sister girls, when I'm talking about whoever, when I use the F word to describe certain gay men, It's not a condemnation on all black men, all gay men, all black women. But I have to say it again. If the shoe fits, you know, it can only fit so many times. Until if the description fits you, it just fits you. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But let me go back to learned behavior. Again, this is just a preview show for the 2 videos I'm going to make. One tonight, one later. One about do black women know how to love the modern day black man, and I'm going to do the MGTOW video tonight. But no, again, it's not a condemnation on all black women when I question my queens about certain things. Because when I was in the sector and I would go to all female chats and I would listen, I'd be accused of being a faggot because I was there to listen. At one point, I was even a moderator and I was asked to give my straight male opinion. But just like several straight males that I talk to, when they give their honest opinion, they get shut down. They get treated like shit. Then the next thing you know, they're either less than a man or whatever. Just like the conversation came up that was brought to my attention earlier tonight on Instagram. Shout out to my bro. I got your email address. I'm going to get at you. About the conversation where, okay, some guy says, if you date outside your race, you're most likely gay. If you'll date a white girl, you'll date a man. That's one of the most ridiculous things I ever heard. But there are sisters that are out there that not only believe this shit, but are out there repeating it. And I'm here to set you straight. You need to come out of that damn bubble, or come out of these cliques and these clubs, and stop letting other people think for you. Stop letting whatever club you belong to or whatever group of moderators you have. You can't let these people think for you. You got to be a little bit more savvy and think a little bit deeper on things. When I talk about my sister girl, when I talk about Thanksgiving dinner, she's going to have her cornbread and collard greens, and we're going to have that potato salad, girl, and we're going to have that fried chicken. We're going to have them neck bones. We're going to have them pig feet, child. You already know. So, I mean, we all know a person like that. Just like we got that sissified cousin. We got that one that smacks his lips when he talks and walks a little sweet and does his hand motions. Again, that's all learned behavior. He saw somebody else do it. Y'all let y'all's confused cousin babysit that boy and let his head get messed up. Or you got these women out here that don't know their kids don't know no strangers. Let any man run in and out of the house. Next thing you know, the boys running around playing with dolls and shit. Yeah, I'm going to tell it. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to keep it real. And say that little child didn't come out the womb knowing how to put on lipstick and how to smack his lips and how to walk a certain way. Again, that's learned behavior. That they pick up what they see from who they look up to. And there are some people that, even if you look at YouTube, don't really have a mind of their own, because every video that they have is about somebody else. And whoever follows that person, oh, well, they don't like Tracy. Well, I don't like Tracy. Well, they don't like Phi Babe. Well, I don't like Phi Babe. People choose sides with people they don't even know. But anyway, like I said, I really wanted to be honest with the sisters. Like I said, I challenge queens. I piss off poppers. And to answer Stiggsgirl's question, no, I don't think because you like the color purple and you like Medea movies that makes you a sister girl. But again, if you check too many boxes on the paperwork. You just might be, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's everybody is entitled to like what they like, but I'm just speaking from a modern day man's perspective. You know, men nowadays they like Marvel movies. You know, they do like science fiction. They're not into that same homegrown stuff. You know, especially because I mean, the average guy thinks Medea movies are corny. You know, back in the day they used to be funny, but then they got super preachy, and a churchy going type person wants to hear that message, and for the most part it's a positive message, even though it's being delivered by a man in a dress. It's still holier than thou, and it's still great because it's black, and everything black is good. The only channel on TV is TV1 and BET, because that's it. See, men have evolved. Black men are evolving from that. They're not evolving from you. It's just that they are moving forward faster than you because you still want to be in tradition. There's certain things, again, it's learned behavior, certain traditions. I can tell you this much. Let me give you a comparison. And I'm not trying to put one sister on a pedestal and put another one down. I'm just making a point. Shout out to Queen Bianca Brooks. When I hear her speak, when I hear Queen Bianca Brooks speak, I want to do business with her. She's the type of person that I feel like we could sit down and read resumes and find the best people to do a job. Her common sense approach to things is different sometimes from the crowd, but she's very articulate. She stands on what she says, and she does not come across as, if I'm dating, the kind of woman that I'd say, let's go watch Star Wars, is going to look at me like I lost my mind. No, let's go see Tiffany Haddish for the third time, fourth time. See, there's certain vicious cycles that sisters allow themselves to fall into, and patterns that brothers have picked up on those patterns, and they don't want the pattern anymore. They don't want the same old thing anymore. The same old eyelashes, the same old weave, the same old makeup, the same old thing, the trends that come. Everybody follows the trends. Brothers want something more. The brothers that are stable, which goes to the MGTOW conversation. I'm giving away a lot, but again, this is just a preview. I'm going to have somebody a lot more educated on MGTOW than me to speak on it when I do the other video. But basically, the red pill philosophy states, I don't need a woman to run my household. I don't need to enter a contract with the government to raise my kids. I don't want my finances drained by some bitter woman that wants this all over. I have to pay alimony. I have to pay child support. Now, again, I don't believe in men going their own way. I'm not a MGTOW guy. I'm only telling you what they believe. The red pill philosophy, if you remember the Matrix, once you take the red pill, your eyes are open to what's really going on in the world. And in the red pill philosophy of MGTOW, you learn more about feminism and how liberalism is destroying the family. You learn how women are becoming more masculine, more mouthy. They want to be the man of the house, and because they know that no matter what happens, they win. Stacey Dash being arrested for domestic abuse is maybe one out of every 500 reports where the woman actually gets handled. Usually it's either the man or both. Rarely is it the woman by herself unless she really acts a fool. And men are, I guess, nowadays a little bit afraid And they look at the men that stand up for themselves as alpha, and they look at the men who don't as beta males. For instance, a beta male in the MGTOW world will be the church guy. We got the church wife with the big mouth who does all the talking. And when they see their friends at the store, he has to look down at the ground and barely speak and look away, and because he doesn't want to be accused by this big mouth woman that he's looking at her friend or trying to touch or hug on her friend or look at her in any kind of way, because these women are really insecure. They saw their fathers being pushed out the door and having a foot in their neck every day to get out of the house and go work and all of this and be talked to and treated any kind of way. So they pass that along, and they think that that's how you're supposed to treat a man. Well, for an independent man don't want to hear that shit, because he doesn't need a woman to wash his clothes, doesn't need a woman to raise his kids. He doesn't need a woman to wash his toilet. To scrub his toilet. He's good at doing all these things on his own, makes enough money to take care of himself, and can choose to bring somebody into his life, not feel like he's obligated to. Because with that obligation comes responsibility, and basically you take responsibility for somebody else's life. Yeah, you think you found a perfect woman, college educated. She's a Kappa, Alpha, whatever. Beautiful. Comes from a great family. But you know what? If she's in $40,000 or $50,000 in college debt and you marry her, you're $40,000 or $50,000 in college debt. See, it's things like that people don't really want to take into consideration that I talk about. Because I want to see the black family succeed. I want to see generational wealth created among loving, strong, caring black families who lift their own up above all others. But we have to break this delusion that every man is going to be this man that's making $200,000 a year that's going to be able to support all your needs and your family's needs, and all you got to do is sit back and eat bonbons and give them pussy. Because that's not how the American family works in 2019. In 2019, those women are working right out there alongside those men in those government jobs. And when the government shuts down, everybody suffers, the men and the women. But they struggle together, because to have anything as a family, you do what you do collectively as a family. And when I ask a woman, what do you bring to the table? What do you bring to my family? What do you bring to my home? Are you bringing more children? Are you bringing a motherly, role modelly figure? Or are you still out there dating 3 or 4 different men? Do you come from a financially stable family that knows how to manage money? Do you bring a trust fund to the table? Because if we both have one, then maybe we can live off the dividends. You find creative ways to cope, but if you know how to invest already, maybe I don't understand stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. But if that's something that you bring to the table, then we can manage our finances. Even if I'm the breadwinner and you're not hitting a lick at a snake, at least I can trust you to manage the household funds, because it's something you bring to the table. Again, when I ask a woman, what do you bring to the table, and she says myself, I have to really question that, because there's levels to this shit. And just like the man always gets questioned, the man is always the bad guy. The man always has to have the bigger shoulders. We've been taught that the man has to be treated like shit, regardless of what, and he's supposed to take it because he's the man. No matter how much a woman fusses or bickers or bitches at him, no matter how bad she treats him, talks about him to her family, to her friends, he's still supposed to take that, and still supposed to be happy to make love to her after being treated that way. And take it in silence, and better not raise his hand to her. A lot of men have their manhood questioned, and Again, they feel like, okay, I have to take this. Or when that woman dates him for about 6 or 7 weeks and decides to test him by texting somebody, at 1 o'clock in the morning to see how he's going to react. Oh, she's just texting her girlfriend, but she'll make it look like she's texting a guy just to test your gangster, just to see how if you're jealous or how you're going to act. Because if you react, then that means that you're insecure. If you don't react, then that means you don't care. See, as the man, you're still not going to be able to win. But that's how they've been programmed to treat you, especially a good man, where the man who ain't shit can get away with murder. Ooh, I'm gonna talk some shit tonight. Let me check out this chat before I go in. Hey, what's up, to everybody in the chat? I see CC made it, Mia. Hey, Mia, I'm glad you finally slid through. I gave you a shout out in 2 of my videos, as a matter of fact. But I'll talk about that later. J Dot, glad to have you here. Tracy, all of Tracy's pieces, shout out. Again, I'd want to start too much shit in this video, but I did want to discuss the MGTOW thing. So again, I'm going to do that probably in about the next 45 minutes to an hour. Because I didn't expect to be on here this long. But in my second video, save your ammunition, ladies. Again, don't come in your feelings and angry, but come with your thinking caps on, because there are some ladies out there that can be elevated to the level of queen if they only knew how. And maybe if they hear from a queen that doesn't follow the footsteps of the crowd, who speaks her mind, maybe she'll evolve and begin to understand. Because for me, it's all about understanding, being able to love each other again. Because I'm out here in these streets and I hear a lot of single guys complain about the same thing. If they're honest with a sister, they're the bad guy. So a lot of times they tend not to want to argue or say anything that's too far out of the way. And then you do have the tribes of women who come together and feel like the moment you say the words black women, they're immediately offended and feel like that you're trying to call them out or call them less than. And again, that's not true. I challenge queens. But peons and poppers, all they can do is get mad. And I expect that. And the simps, too. There's some simp-ass guys out here that try to play Captain David-Ho and say anything because they're thirsty and know there's some single women out here and want to, tell them what they want to hear. And those guys are the worst of the worst. Because they are blowing women's heads up that do not need their heads blown up at all. Because the respect between man and woman should be mutual. I mean, to me, the love between a man and a woman is the most simple thing in the world. MGTOW is something that stands in the way of that. That's the reason why I don't agree with it. But there's a lot of guys out there, and there's a lot of black men out there that are moving towards this movement. I see it more or less as destruction of the black family. Another layer to that onion. I see it coming from mostly racist right-wing white men and trickling down just like feminism did to black women. This MGTOW shit is turning into NIGTOW shit because there's a lot of brothers that are also going their own way, that don't want to get married, afraid to have kids. They don't want to be put in the system and all of this stuff, lose their driver's license or go to jail for not paying child support. They just rather not have kids. Instead of getting a Dear John letter from a lady who walks out on them, they just decide, I'm just not even going to live with a woman. I'm going to stay by myself and, only have sex only when I want to. Other than that, no marriage, no long-term relationships, none of that. That's what MGTOW is all about. And I feel like the less black women understand black men, the more separation there will be between us. So I will be that lonely voice out here to speak for a handful of black men, straight black men, who still love our sisters, but are tired of the elevation of self and this lie that everybody's a king and a queen when they're not. I'm sorry. Everybody's not a king and a queen. You even got some ain't shit people out there. Let's just be real. But for those of us who hold ourselves to a higher standard, iron sharpens iron. I respect the black queens that I have on my platform. Melanated High Priestess. I even see Tracy as a queen. Yeah, she might be in the roast and gag, section of the sector. And, I know that she really went in on somebody yesterday. I was like, holy crap, I'm glad I'm not that person. But you know what? She holds down her end on what she does, whether you like her or not. Same thing with Mia. I love Mia just as much as I love Tracy. Because Mia, with the 3 or 4 first videos that I saw that she made, I was like, wow, it's like things I would say if I were to make a video about what she's talking about. And that her channel stood out to me. Again, Queen Bianca Brooks stands out to me. Maturish stands out to me. Again, there's several, and that's not a diss to any of the YouTubers. None of my moderators or anything like that. Just shout out to the ones who strike me as a little bit different than the crowd. Like I say, Tracy has a talent for what she does. A lot of people can try to copy it and duplicate it or whatever, but there's a reason she has 300 to 400 people every time she goes on. And everybody doesn't have that level of charisma or charm to be able to hold that many people's attention. Lord knows I don't. I'm lucky to have my 10, 15, maybe 20 people. So I'm happy for mine. I wouldn't even know how to handle a chat with that many people. But just like I see Tracy's talent and just being funny, I see the same in Melanated High Priestess. She makes art, and she talks about different things, and she's very talented with her hands and does things. Nay Love, she's good with computer programming. Maturish knocked it out of the park the other night with the spoken word. I mean, there's just so many sisters on here that fix hair, just so many talents. And I love seeing my sisters showcase their talents. My brothers too. J Dot is coming up in the world right now, and everybody whose chat I've been to has nothing but positive things to say about J Dot. So I support J Dot on his come up as well. It's not just the sisters, it's my brothers too. I don't know if you guys know that knucklehead sci-fi dork. He's probably somewhere in the shadows right now. But even he might be a fool, but he's a loyal fool. He's in these streets a whole lot deeper than I am. But as a new content creator, I got to say, I love my boy. So shout out to him too. But again, those of you who stand out, you stand out to me. And I enjoy listening to your videos and taking the time to hear your take on things. So, I appreciate hearing your take on the upcoming subject as well. Because I hate to see brothers hop on this bandwagon with the white boys of turning their backs on women when women need us to protect them the most. Every time you watch a video, you see a black woman being snatched out of the car by a cop, getting beat up by some guys at a gas station, or just basically being talked to or treated like shit all the time. And then you come to YouTube and then there's some gay guy talking about black women like a dog. Then you had, I believe, it was Jason or whatever his name was, white guy, again, dogging black women out. So it's like right when they need us the most, when you need us the most, brothers are turning their backs. Either that or they were just never there really with you because they're too much trying to be like you. And I don't really stand for it, but there's only so much I can do. I'm not just going to start going on people's channels and cussing guys out that I don't know and, starting fights with people. Like I say, you bring it, don't start no shit. It won't be none. There's a lot that's been said by these guys, but I don't follow their channels. I pick up on the shit secondhand. So when somebody tells me, or if I'm in Tracy's chat, because I can get it all there in one thing. I don't have to go to 5 different channels. I can go to Tracy's news, get it all in one thing, and say, okay, now I know what's going on in the sector in case it comes up or anybody asks me. All right, so you guys know I do encourage networking. Again, this is just a preview, but I hope you guys are interested enough to check out the MGTOW video later this evening. Hey, Sephora, good to see you again. One Proud Glamour, thank you for coming. Kendra, TC, Melanated. Ooh, CC Uncut, good to see you too. Tatiana, Mia, glad you finally made it. And again, there's something else I wanted to ask you too, Mia, if you ever get some time. So if you have an email, you can drop it in the chat, or you can hit me up at therealslyjones@gmail.com. Let me put it down here in the chat real quick. Just one sec. Oh, by the way, One Proud Grandma is doing some big things for breast cancer awareness. So make sure that you're subscribed to her channel. And if you want to have a little fun, you may want to take part in some of the activities that she has planned. I think it's for a good cause, and I'd really like to see her get as much support as possible. All right, Must Know 3. Holy shit, this guy should be nominated for the Mangina White Knight Simp of 2019-20. If you say so. Don't block or kick that guy. Admins, everybody's entitled to their opinion. And that's all well and good, if you think that way. Because, again, at a time where our sisters need us to stand up and be the men that we're supposed to be, you got guys like this telling us that we shouldn't. And he's entitled to his opinion. But I'm not moving away from women. You might have saw the MGTOW in the title and thought that I was MGTOW. I'm not. But if you are, and you want to talk about it, you're more than welcome to call in Must Know 3 when I set up the call-in line, and I have the video later. And if you want to call me a simp to my face. Hey, Lex, always glad to see you too. Big Mama loves you. Looks like you're new to the chat. So what happens if everyone goes their own way? If you ask me, Big Mama, is the destruction of society. And see, the white man is already doing it to himself. Case in point, you got the feminists that have been going their own way. And then they're pushing a lesbian agenda. No offense to any lesbians I have in the house. It's not about that. What I'm saying is that right now there are a lot of Democrats in office that are a lot more concerned with transgender bathrooms and gay marriage in their state than they are the water in Flint or making sure that black children in rural areas have up-to-date school books and internet at their schools. I have a problem with that. Not because it involves gay people or anything like that. I'm just saying that there are certain priorities that affect the greater whole that I feel like should be addressed before this man who identifies as a woman should be allowed to use the girl's bathroom. I think we got bigger fish to fry, and I think those fish have been put to the side for 1.5% of the entire population. Numbers wise, just from a number standpoint, that doesn't make a lot of common sense to me. Not to say that people aren't entitled to love who they love or marry who they want to marry. I'm just saying let's make sure the kids can eat first. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, you talk about eugenics, you talk about depopulation. That's exactly what MGTOW looks like to me. And the white man is systematically doing it to himself. He's turning his back on his women. His women are turning his back on them. And then they're telling us, well, to be a real man, to be an alpha, well, you turn your back on that woman and you make her defend for herself. They want to be equal to us. Well, you show her how equal she is. And then you got the feminists on the other side telling their black sister, come on, sister. You don't need that man. You shave your hair off and you put on this flannel shirt and these pants. And you get your little wallet with the chain on it. And then, no, I'm not even going to go there. I say they've indoctrinated a lot of sisters and in that stupid way of thinking. And I'm all for female empowerment. Don't get me wrong. I love to hear when there's a female astronaut, female fighter pilots, when they break records or whatever. I mean, I love to hear that. Now, am I a fan of the WNBA? Hell no. Is it boring to me? Yes. Is it exciting? No. Does that mean I hate women? No. It just means I find the WNBA boring. But do I get excited when one can dunk? Yes, I do. Like I say, I'm going to keep it 100. But again, when we speak our opinion, sisters, don't take it as hate. Don't think that every time a brother mentions sisters in a certain way that he's condemning all sisters, because he's not. We're all built differently, and the more you can recognize those differences, the more we can start to love each other again. Know that we're going to have different interests. You got brothers now that are, more into computer science. You got brothers that are into engineering. You got brothers that are on a deeper level. You don't see a lot of doctors marrying CNAs. I'm just saying. You have to bring a certain level to the table equivalent to your king, if that's what you want, depending on the lifestyle that you really, really want. As again, it almost takes two incomes to really make it nowadays. You find a knight in shining armor that makes all the money and can allow you to take 3 to 4 trips and have all the Fendi bags and Dooney and Burke purses. Are they still in style? I don't know. But anyway, if you had the guy that can afford you all those luxuries and you don't have to work a day in your life, then God bless you. But for us working men out here, I have a 3-bedroom home, but I'm a working man. I support mine. If you have a guy that makes $25,000-$30,000 a year, love that man. Of course you'd love him would rather have make 45, 50. But imagine what you might be able to kick in, and then the family has something, and the family can take a cruise. Then the family can go shopping. You manage your funds so you can do those things without messing up your credit. Like I say, I love, and I'm still old romantic. And I just, I see that black love right now is just in a fucking shambles. And I hate to see that. I have a few friends that are married, but my single friends out here are really catching hell. Man, if I can offer them any advice or little help, or at least let them know that there's somebody out there going through what they're going through, then, it's all worth it. right, let's see what other crazy comments we have in the house. All right, Mia says, I'm independent, but I also don't believe in saying I don't need a man for anything, because to me, that's not true. See, me, I knew it was something I liked about you. Now, see, I don't ever want to say I don't need a woman because that's not true. A woman brings me balance and helps bring me focus. And when I love that woman and I'm looking forward to seeing her and doing things for her, that gives me energy to do more because I want to do more. You know, that's part of the joy and happiness of life is love, or at least companionship. So I'll never say I don't need a woman in my life, you know, because there's certain things that only a woman can do, a certain energy that only a woman can generate. Damn sure ain't gonna get it from a man. And you know, they haven't made a blow up dummy, a robot yet that looks real enough for me. So until that happens, I still need, still need a warm body next to me. Catherine Ellis brings up a good point. I believe that you have to build together, help each other out to accomplish the dream of what they want to do. Sending the other to school or whatever. Exactly. One of my good friends from a few months ago here on the channel sent her husband to truck driving school. She took the last that she had from her 401k after getting furniture and everything they needed to make a major move. And now they are doing extremely well. And she even rides on the road with them sometime. And now she gets to see the country right alongside him. Now he doesn't have to be out there lonely and by himself anymore for days and weeks at a time. And now their lives are better. You know, they're able to upgrade and, you know, just do so many other things now that they weren't financially able to do. But I hear from so many queens that tell me that they want a man that's already stable and she doesn't have to work. And the only thing she should bring to the table is herself. And I say, I wish we lived in that day and age, but I just don't see that we do realistically when I look at my neighbors, when I look at my family, when I look at my peers. I have an uncle that's military retired. He retired colonel. And anybody who knows military rank knows that colonel is one or two steps down from general, right? So you're doing pretty well for yourself, being that high level a officer. His wife has been a nurse for the past 15 years. They could have easily retired with what he makes now as a civilian contractor with his military credentials, which is almost like getting paid double, getting his retirement and working. So, you know, he does very well for himself. But she just didn't sit idly by and just say, well, let me sit at home and count the chickens. You know, she actually went out so that she could have and enjoy some of the things that she likes as well. I don't see where that's a problem, but there are certain sisters that see that it is. And I guess I bring that up too because I caught hell in that conversation with that young lady who said that the only thing she should bring is herself. I have no problem. Okay, Lex Get Real says, I have no problem helping my man out and elevating him, but I also don't want a man that has no drive and can never see the bigger vision. Well, see, Lex, that's why you don't get that Negro that you got to put your foot in his neck to get him out the door every day. Women that have men like that, those men to me were trash to begin with, because no man should ever have to be forced to go out to make his money or to take care of his home. But when you're living paycheck to paycheck and you got kids to feed and you already been late on one bill and the doubling up on the other, you know, yeah, it's a real scary aspect that this nigga gets drunk tonight and decides he don't want to go to work the next day, or he done got too high or stayed out too late with his boys and just decides, well, I'm just going to sleep in. Now, when your whole life depends on that, yeah, I'm pretty sure you want to kick that nigga out on his ass and make him go work. My question would be, you know, if you value yourself and you cherish yourself, why would you end up with a dude like that? I mean, we all make bad choices, don't get me wrong. But some women seem like they keep making the same bad choices. But you can't say anything to them about it because it's her life and you have to let her live and just let her make her own mistakes. Yeah, that's all well and good. But goddamn, how many train wreck men, how many abusive men, how many do nothing men do you have to keep being attracted to before you realize they're not for you? Maybe the sex is good, but is it worth all of that? I think for some sisters it is. I think the sex is enough. As long as that sex is good enough, you don't care if he has 2 or 3 women. Don't care if he has 5 or 6 baby mamas. Doesn't care. I mean, there's some sisters to me that have come across that way. As long as he's handsome and the sex is good, he can be an alcoholic. He might even still live at home with his mom. What is the attraction of those guys? If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, ladies. But I have to know, what is the attraction to that man that it seems like so many sisters can't get enough? Because I'm here to tell you, you ask enough single young men between the ages like 19 and 30, between like my son's age and I'd say 29, 30 years old, they're all going to tell you about the same thing. No matter how hard they try to love a sister, that sister's going to go hard for that thug or that do nothing man and overlook the little college guy or the guy that owns a business, owns a grass cutting business, or the guy who, doesn't have any kids. All right. Mia says, I'm a little apprehensive to helping only because I got burned in the past. He came up, then started smelling himself. Wow. Yeah, you have those guys too. They're only with you until they can get to where they need to get, and all of a sudden they forget about all the meals you bought and bills you paid and things that you done for them. Now all of a sudden he's over it. Yeah, I've heard those stories too. All right, so again, I didn't expect to stay on this long, but I'm so glad you guys stopped by. I'm going to go ahead and get that MGTOW video set up. I'm also going to have the call-in line tonight, so anybody who wants to call in and talk about it. Again, the subject tonight is going to be what is MGTOW and should black women be concerned? All right, checking back in with the chat. Let's see. Catherine Ellis says some women don't have enough confidence in self. See that what you put out, you will get back. That's true. All right, Kefra, welcome to the chat. Always nice to see a new face. Says it's good for both to have the producer mentality. Also, both should come with access to resources and passive income. See, when I say that, though, some people take it as a knock against the woman, again, who just says that the king should provide. I should just be here to make sure no other woman comes in. All right, Par Reach, welcome to the chat, first timer. Says it's almost 2020. Go your own way. Black women aren't obligated to date, marry only black men, vice versa. I'm not the least bit concerned. Okay. Does anybody else feel that way? Mia says, you're right. It's a mix of great sex and a woman's low self-esteem and low value. I always said it's birds of a feather that flock together. I always thought that ain't shit man would constantly hook up with like a not shit woman and they just not be shit together. And you kind of know it when you see it because we've all dated not shit people before. All right, Lex says there are the women that don't love and care for themselves. Their choices with men reflect that. And some men get the help and dip because you've made them their best you, or he has made a woman there. And I guess that's going to continue. Now, ladies, I'm going to ask you a question, and my fellas too. Have I said anything tonight that was remotely offensive to black women? For those of you that have been here from beginning to end, do you feel like I've said something out of the way, something to make you raise your eyebrow or to make you think that I hate black women? And you can be honest, because I have been accused of that. Matter of fact, when what do they call that? The Mess Express wanted to interview me. They wanted to interview me on the premise that I hate black women because I had two panels that were about the same thing. It was the same panel about white men dating black women and, you know, same cliche answers, same cliche responses. The black man is the bad guy, blah, blah, blah. And I gave a different perspective, which wasn't appreciated, about number one. Number two, I interrupted one of the hosts in one of the shows, which that was like seen as a sin. So they interpreted that as I hate black women. And then another one who I used to do panels with said I must hate my mom and I hate black women. I hate gay people. You know, none of that. You know, it sounds silly now that I repeat it. But that person stood on that all because I said that I like Tracy better than them. That's where all that came from. And I know some of y'all might not like this person, that person, whatever. I like everybody here. So I hope that doesn't become an issue anymore. You know, I'm over all of that. Whatever Bonafide had to say, you know, that's fine. You know, I forgive her if she forgives me. You know, I don't want to be mad at anybody or have anybody make another video with my name in it. You know, as far as I don't even really want to say her name because I don't want to give her any clout. You know, me and Bonafide go way back. And I'll say it right here. If I offended you on your platform by cutting you off, like normal adults do when they argue, sometimes they cut each other off or get loud, I apologize. You know, you said some really ugly things about me that wasn't called for, but you thought those ugly things before I ever came to your chat. That's the part that fucked me up. But anyway, it's water under the bridge. As far as blah blah boss lady, wait, nah, I can't with that one. But if you like say choose sides in the little sector ward, and that's fine. But if I fuck with you, I fuck with you. Like I say, if I like your content, I don't like it or dislike it because you like or dislike Tracy or you like or dislike Phi Babe or whatever. You know, you came to my channel because it's something that you wanted to see or hear. I go to your channel because I enjoy your content. So the relationship that you have with me shouldn't have anything to do with anybody else's beef. All right, Lex, you said nothing offensive, just wanted more in-depth in what you mean. And I'm going to go more in-depth again. This is only supposed to be a preview. And I'll go more in-depth on the MGTOW video about what I mean. But if there's something specific you want me to break down, I'm more than happy to do that. Right? If a postal carrier has the right mindset, delivery mail would be behind him, and he'd be in my income bracket. I'm just saying. All right, let me see what Par Reach is talking about. I'm about to breach 6 figures. Fuck, should I take on a postal carrier? Oh, who's to say that you wouldn't fall in love with the mail lady, Par Reach? You must not have been on the midnight ride before. You need to come one Thursday and open your mind and relax one night. My mail lady's fine, actually, because she gets out here and she walks to some of her route, and she got some stout legs. So, look, if I'm making 6-7 figures, if I love somebody, it doesn't matter. I mean, again, you if you're coming from nothing and you got something, then you should appreciate what a real woman has to offer, regardless of what she has. If you were born into wealth and all of this, it's a little bit different. Generational wealth marries generational wealth. You don't hear about a Bush marrying into a poor family. You'll never hear an Obama marry into another poor family. Those girls are going to marry men that are already millionaires, if not billionaires. You're just now breaching 6 figures, and it took you 7 years to get there. I wouldn't hate on the postal carrier, bro. Not yet. Because you're about to breach 6 figures. You haven't breached it yet. And if it took you that long to get there, just like you got it, you can lose it. So, let's see. Catherine says sometimes it takes a person search deep into the other person's past. It could be the job that they love. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know any poor postal workers. Everybody I know that works for the postal service does pretty good for themselves. I mean, they make a living. Again, you can have financial freedom and financial success, and if you do, more power to you. But for those of us who do work a 9 to 5, who didn't hit the lotto, who didn't come up with the new microchip, who are living day by day, would love to take one trip a year to Disney World and take a 7-day trip. We would love to take a cruise down to the Bahamas. But those of us who are working and paying bills, then like I say, I'm single and I hold it down by myself. If I had somebody else, to come in and back clean up, there's a lot more that we would be able to do if it wasn't just depending on me doing it, because I say I hold my home down by myself. I live in the real world. I make good enough money to take care of myself and have a little extra at the end of the month, but by no stretch of the imagination, am I ready to take on a woman and 2 or 3 kids and her whole family and, whatever, and, decide the sake of love, that would take a lot of time and preparation before I would even be ready to take on that kind of responsibility. And, I'm just being real. All right, Lex, let's see. Please see my earlier comments before the last one. Okay, I'll check that out. See, that's exactly what I mean, Mia. See, Par, you gotta see you're not seeing the forest for the trees. Let's see what Lex says. Yeah, Lex, if you have a specific question, please drop it down in the chat. Or if you like, I can also open up, share the StreamYard if you wanted to come in too. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and share that now for anybody that might want to come in. Yeah, if there's any aspect of MGTOW that you want me to cover in the next video, let me know. I said there were some people in Tracy's chat last night that didn't understand what that meant. But don't be surprised if there's a lot of men that come in and say it's time to go our own way. They say I don't believe in that myself, but I've been put in certain positions in my life where I was almost thinking like, holy crap. It's like this was not meant for me. This was all built against me. That's how I felt. So for less secure men, I can see how some would feel that way. Oh yeah, I do have a special person in the chat tonight. She's an author who I will be interviewing once I have a chance to read the first few chapters of her book. I said I was going to start last night, but I've been working all weekend. I've been tired. But Catherine Ellis, shout out to Catherine Ellis in the chat. She's a published author. Go ahead and put the name of your go ahead and put the name of your book in the chat for us, Catherine. Me and Catherine will be doing an interview video sometime this week to review her book. And hopefully, if we generate enough interest in her book, if I can get at least 5 to 10 people to download her book, then we can have a book club and then we can actually discuss it together. I'm really looking forward to doing that. Also, Melanated High Priestess and I have a secret. I'm not going to tell it. Can I tell it, Melanated? Do you mind? I know this isn't, okay, the name of the book is Skeletons Out of the Closet. And if you give me a second, I can give you a quick breakdown on what the book is about. Again, I love my talented sisters. I've met some really talented sisters here on YouTube. And I'm proud. Like I say, I couldn't be more happy when I meet somebody who can sing, somebody who can write, people that have voice talents. Let's see. Okay. Skeletons Out of the Closet. You can order this book on pagepublishing.com. Feel free to leave a link down to the book if you can, Catherine. Skeletons Out of the Closet is about a middle-class family that dates as far back as the late 1950s. Knowing that there was no help from the outside world because things were handled differently in those days, you have the Ponder family. The children lost their mother to situations unknown and only had the love of their beloved grandmother to help them cope. Their grandfather was a wealthy and well-respected member of the town, so things were hidden until the youngest granddaughter became pregnant at the age of 10. There are many plot twists that make this a page turner. You have murder cover-ups, incest, good times, and sad. Will the family survive once the grandmother becomes ill and passed? Will the children be able to deal with the wrath of their grandfather's revenge once he finds out what's really happening in his home? The Ponder family has a never-ending nightmare that reigns against his family for many generations to come. Again, that's Skeletons Out of the Closet. You can order it at pagepublishing.com. The author is Catherine Ellis, and she is right here with us right now in the chat. Yeah, I said wow too when I read the description. And like I said, I can't wait to start reading the first few chapters, which if you do click on the link, if she can leave the link here in the chat, you can actually read the first few chapters for free. I'm hoping that you guys go ahead and pick up the book when we do her interview. I'm going to have the links in the description on how to order the book when I do her interview this week or next week. Well, the first chance we get, we're going to do it. I'm hoping that you guys can order the book. So within, I would say, at least by Thanksgiving, if maybe not by Christmas, if at least 10 of us have the book, then we can do a book club. That way we get to support our sister's talent and be really entertained, because this book really sounds like it's far out. And I want to see how it all unfolds. Again, the name of the book is Skeletons Out of the Closet, A Never-Ending Nightmare. All right. Now I'm hoping we can do a little bit of networking before I close out tonight. Catherine, congratulations on your book. Par Reach says, I may be jaded, but I appreciate you staying in respect. Slide blessings. Blessings to you. We don't always have to get agree here, but I'm not going to kick anybody out for having their own opinion. You know, the MGTOW guys go hard, and anybody who doesn't agree with MGTOW to them is a simp or beta male. And then you got the sister girl side of YouTube, where if you don't agree with everything they say, then you're a simp or you're gay or whatever. So like I say, it's hard to win out here for a brother who speaks his own mind and still loves his sisters, but is willing to be honest enough with them. You know, because if somebody loves you, they'll be honest with you. If some guy just comes along and tells you what you want to hear, how beautiful you are, and oh, how pretty, and how this and how that, like I say, that's one thing. That's all surface. You know, that's, you know, beauty is only skin deep. But, you know, to actually tell your sister the truth and risk losing a viewer or risk losing a subscriber just based on your personal opinion and being willing to stand on it, you know, I have the courage to do that. But I know that there are some sisters out there that understand and don't get offended or angry because of it. Those are the ones that I want to build and grow with. Yeah, how can MGTOW be understood calling folks names? You got to look where it came from. It came from white supremacy. So, of course, they're going to look at themselves as superior. Are MGTOW men just bitter? I think bitterness is a part of it. I think anger is a part of it. I think frustration is a part of it. I think that conspiracy is a big part of it. You know, you can repeat something to a weak-minded person enough times and they're going to believe it. I mean, this is the era of Trump. You can tell the same lie over and over and over and over, and no matter how wrong it is, somebody out there is going to repeat it. And they're going to feel empowered by it because there's going to be a handful of people that believe what they believe, whether it's wrong or not. As long as they believe it, they feel like they're right. You know, but for the MGTOW guys that are out there and they stand on their belief, I invite them to come to the chat later and talk about it. Big Mama says they're online just to recruit. Yeah, they are. It's the best way to reach these, you know, young men who may have gotten cheated on, or, you know, take care of a baby for a year and find out it's not theirs, you know, find out that they were used. You know, men that are in domestic violence relationships where they're the ones getting their ass beat or getting things thrown at them or getting cut or getting slapped or getting hot beans thrown on them, and expected to take that and still go to work every day and function like a normal guy and not won't have the urge to want to rip her head off her neck. You know, these are the guys that are going their own way. Some of these guys should go their own way because they're fucking psychopaths, if you ask me. They don't belong with a man or a woman. They belong in a fucking insane asylum. Some of them are just way too far gone, too hyper masculine, too aggressive, because that's, again, learned behavior. I'm not just talking about gay people or black women. I talk about learned behavior. Look at the angry white guy who gets mad because the girls don't like him and then shoots up the school. There's a difference between a psychopath and a sociopath. Psychopath was born crazy. A sociopath is made crazy by the environment and things around him. And if he was already a little bit off kilter, it only takes a little bit to push the needle. A very charismatic speaker or somebody who comes along that's very convincing, somebody who they believe in, to come along and pump their head up and give them a little bit of self-esteem. So it's not that hard. So when I see my black brothers leaning towards MGTOW, I have to worry a little bit. And I have to worry for my sisters. Because there are going to be sisters that put their love and their trust in this man that's going to say, nope, you protect yourself. You got an ex-boyfriend that comes along and whops you upside the head. Well, I'm not going to defend you. You're just going to have to take that ass whooping, but you be ready Friday night and have on that negligee I like when I come. That's how these guys think. They're not going to protect you. They're not going to honor you. They're not going to cherish you or stand up for you. They only look at women as sexual objects only. And again, that's it's a little bit scary that black men are falling willy foo-foo to this shit. So again, I ask my sisters, now that you know what it is, do you think that black women should be concerned? Well, there's levels to it. They have monk mode. They have like belts, like green belt, blue belt, yellow belt. I mean, I don't know if that's the system, but they have levels to that. It's not just being alone. They still don't mind having sex, but for the most part, they don't want marriage. They don't want commitment. That's one of the main parts over it, because they feel like at some point, either they're going to be monetarily held to account by alimony or child support or simply through marriage. They feel like that they're going to have a lifelong obligation to this person financially. Even if they fall out of love, they're still going to have their lives basically held hostage by a person that doesn't even love them anymore. And out of that fear, they're going, quote unquote, their own way. All right, guys, I'm going to get the other video ready because it is getting kind of late. And I do want you guys to come back. So I'm going to queue up the other video. And on the other video, I've actually got a very, very good description from a MGTOW guy. His name is Sandman. And he is the YouTube king of MGTOW. And when he explains what it stands for and the red pill philosophy, you can see how it makes some sense. Whether you agree with it or not. Again, if you're a disgruntled boy out there who didn't have a date for the prom, or you got cheated on, this guy, sounds like you've got a brother in the fight. Again, I don't believe in it, but I do listen to it objectively, and I hope my sisters do too. So again, give me about 30 to 45 minutes. I'm going to queue up that information. I'm going to have the phone lines open so you guys can call in. I look forward to seeing you in the next few. I'm going to leave the chat open for about another 30 seconds so you guys can network. Anybody here who's a content creator, leave a 1 next to your name or click the 3 dots. I know Real Mama's Real Problems is a content creator. Let's Get Real. TCHBCU Queen. Don't forget to check out Catherine's book. And if there's anybody who I missed, Mia, again, thank you for stopping by. I've been waiting to hear from you. One Proud Grandma, and everybody, Kendra, Tatiana, everybody who was able to stop by. Tracy, thank you so much. J. Satin. Satin gave me some really good ideas for the midnight ride and some really good music and stuff. So I want to thank her for that. Green Jarrell, new to the chat. I hope you show back up tonight too. So again, guys, thank you so much. And I'll see you in a little bit. Peace.